In this presentation, let me give you some details from one of the historical events in our country, the first mass in the Philippines. The author of the historical account of the first mass in the Philippines is not known with certainty. It is believed to have been written by a member of the expedition led by Ferdinand Magellan, who arrived in the Philippines in 1521. The most likely author of the account is Antonio Pigafetta, an Italian scholar and explorer who was part of Magellan's crew. Pigafetta kept a detailed journal of the expedition, which he later used to write his book, Relación del Primo Viaggio Intorno al Mundo, which was published in 1525. Pigafetta's account of the first mass in the Philippines is considered to be the most detailed and accurate among the surviving documents from the expedition. It provides valuable insights into the cultural practices and beliefs of the indigenous peoples of the Philippines at the time of the Spanish arrival. On this day 500 years ago, the men of the Magellan-Elcano expedition remained in Rio Santa Cruz, Argentina, after departing Puerto San Julian about a week prior. All ships stayed. Antonio Pigafetta, Ferdinand Magellan, and Father Pedro de Valderrama, secular priests who reached the Philippines and then celebrated both the first recorded Mass and baptism in our archipelago. In the expedition, Valderrama was joined by two other secular friars. First chaplain joined the mutiny, then later marooned in the Patagonian desert, along with Juan de Cartanega upon their armada's departure from Puerto San Julian. On March 31, 1521, an Easter Sunday, Magellan ordered a Mass to be celebrated, which was officiated by Father Pedro Valderrama, the Andalusian captain of the fleet. Conducted near the shores of the island, the first Holy Mass marked the birth of Roman Catholicism in the Philippines. The National Centennial Committee deputized the National Historical Commission of the Philippines in 2018 to convene scholars headed by historian Resel Mujares, March 31, 1521. Valderrama similarly administered in the island of Cebu on April 14, 1521, the first baptism ceremony into Christianity of Sugbos Raha Humabon. The Christian ceremony was celebrated on the Jubilate Sunday, the third Sunday of Easter 1521. Hara Juana was personally presented by Pigafetta with an image of Santo Niño, as she requested that prompted the deep reverence, hence was considered to be Santo Niño's first Visayan debutee. High-spirited were the early few Filipino Christians for their newly found faith, and with the miraculous healing of a sickly man, cemented their conviction of efficacy over all the idols. The historical background of the document that recounts the first Mass in the Philippines is closely linked to the period of European exploration and colonization of the world. In 1519, the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan set sail from Spain with the aim of finding a westward route to the Spice Island. Magellan's expedition consisted of 5 ships and approximately 270 men, including Antonio Pigafetta, who was one of the chroniclers of the journey. After crossing the Atlantic Ocean and navigating through South America's Strait of Magellan, the expedition entered the Pacific Ocean. They sailed for several months enduring harsh conditions and facing numerous challenges before reaching the Mariana Islands in the Western Pacific. On March 16, 1521, the expedition landed on the island of Homonhon, in what is now the eastern part of the Philippines. The arrival of the Spanish was met with both curiosity and suspicion by the indigenous peoples, who had never encountered Europeans before. Magellan made several attempts to establish friendly relations with the local chieftains and convert them to Christianity. However, he faced resistance and hostility from some of them, leading to skirmishes and conflicts. On April 7, 1521, Magellan and his crew held the first Catholic Mass on Philippine soil on the island of Limasawa, which was attended by some of the local inhabitants. This event is considered a significant moment in the Philippine history, as it marked the beginning of Spain's influence and colonization of the archipelago. The account of the first Mass in the Philippines was written by Antonio Pigafetta, who chronicled the expedition's journey and provided valuable insights into the encounter between the Spanish and indigenous peoples of the Philippines. The content and contextual analysis of the important historical information found in this document. The document that recounts the first Mass in the Philippines, written by Antonio Pigafetta, provides valuable historical information about the encounter between the Spanish and the indigenous peoples of the Philippines. A content and contextual analysis of the document reveals several important historical insights. First, the encounter between the Spanish and the indigenous peoples of the Philippines was marked by curiosity, suspicion, and cultural differences. Pigafetta describes how the local inhabitants were fascinated by the Spaniards' physical appearance, clothing, and technology, but were also wary of their intentions. Second, the first Mass in the Philippines was a significant moment in Philippine history, as it marked the introduction of Christianity and Spanish influence in the archipelago. Pigafetta's account provides a detailed description of the Mass, which was held on the island of Limasawa and attended by some of the local inhabitants. The Mass was celebrated in Latin, and Pigafetta notes that the natives appeared to be attentive and respectful. The document also provides insights into the religious beliefs and practices of the indigenous peoples of the Philippines at the same time of the Spanish arrival. Pigafetta describes how the natives had their own religious rituals and beliefs, which involved offerings to their deities and spirits. He notes that the Spaniards tried to convert the natives to Christianity. Fourth, Pigafetta's account also sheds light on the political and economic conditions of the Philippines in the 16th century. This provides valuable historical context for understanding the Spanish colonial project, which aimed to establish political and economic control over the archipelago. Overall, the document that recounts the first Mass in the Philippines provides important historical information about the encounter between the Spanish and the indigenous peoples of the Philippines. It serves as a valuable primary source for understanding Philippine history and the impact of European colonization on the archipelago. The contribution and relevance of the document in understanding the grand narrative of the Philippine history. The document that recounts the first mass in the Philippines is an important primary source that contributes to the grand narrative of Philippine history. It provides valuable insights into the early colonial encounter between the Spanish and the indigenous peoples of the Philippines and sheds light on the factors that shaped the country's history. One of the document's contributions to the grand narrative of the Philippines is its role in tracing the country's religious and cultural identity. The document provides a detailed account of the Mass, which allows historians to trace the evolution of Christian practices in the Philippines and understand the relationship to indigenous cultural traditions. The document also sheds light on the nature of Spanish colonialism in the Philippines and its impact on the country's political and economic development. The Spaniards' colonization of the Philippines had a lasting impact on the country's social and economic structures, including the introduction of feudalism. The document's description of the local economy and political organization provides valuable context for understanding these developments and their long-term effects on Philippine society. Furthermore, the document contributes to the grand narrative of Philippine history by providing insights into the country's early encounter with Western powers and the legacies of colonialism. The encounter between the Spanish and the indigenous peoples of the Philippines was marked by cultural differences, power dynamics, and violence, which set the stage for centuries of colonialism and foreign influence. Overall, the document that recounts the first Mass in the Philippines is an important primary source that contributes to the grand narrative of Philippine history by providing valuable insights into the country's religious, cultural, political, and economic development. It serves as a reminder of the country's complex and multifaceted history and legacies of colonialism that continue to shape its society and culture today. I hope that in this presentation, we gave you some knowledge regarding one of the historical events in our country, the first Mass in the Philippines.